No names, no nothing, no details, just pure story. This happened a year ago. I was just 6 months into the profession. Imagine, you have just started your nursing career overseas, and this is the story of my first patient death. That was last year. I was fresh, I was new, I'm a newbie, and it was during the peak of COVID. I had this male patient, 75 years old. He had COVID pneumonia. He has just reached end of life care. Very poor prognosis. He was not for resus, and DNR was in place and all that. The family knows. It was an unexpected death, but to me, it was my first time. I didn't know what to expect, and it was a very scary time. And I'm thankful for my senior nurses there who supported me through the process. And it was something that I had to go through because it's something you're gonna experience frequently more than you hope to. Um, so I got into the shift. I did my rounds. I checked everyone. I have done my assessment. I've taken the observations, blah blah blah, all the necessary stuff. He was still on high flow oxygen, although he was on end of life care. They were still doing treatments, still kind of aggressive. He was in pain. He had very painful labored breathing, and first thing I did was to offer him painkillers, and he said, "No, I don't want them. I don't want to have a premature death." Turns out, this man has capacity. He knew what was going on. He was self-aware. He knew he was gonna go. He knew he was gonna pass away, but he did not want it to be premature, and he knew that if he had a medicine such as diazepam and morphine, that it could cause respiratory arrest basically, and he knew that, and he did not want it to happen. As a nurse, if you have a patient who is in end of life care, your main goal is for him to be as comfortable as possible, to have no pain at all, to have a dignified passing basically, and that was my aim. This is where I got very emotional because he wanted me to stay with him. I was holding his hand, and the thing is, the hospital was just overwhelmed with very poorly people, and they there were very few staff, and I was holding his hand. He was like me, "Don't leave, don't go. I don't want to die alone." And it was a it was very overwhelming to me. It was a very emotional moment, and I did not know how to respond. So I stayed with him. I asked the doctor to see him, talk to him, blah blah. Doctors rang the family to come up to the hospital if they wish to see him. The thing is, if you go to the hospital during that time, you will be advised to quarantine for 2 weeks because you are really likely to get COVID. I was there holding his hand. The family came up. I gave them time. I went back. I offered him painkillers for comfort, and he refused again. He said, "I'm not ready to go, and I don't want a premature death." And he has capacity. And as a nurse, you cannot force people to have treatments because they have the right to refuse treatments. And I said, "Is there anything else you want?" He said, "No, just leave me alone." And I told him that if you want some painkillers, just give me a bus and I'll be here quickly. I left him alone, and I felt really bad and helpless because really the only thing I could offer him to alleviate his pain and suffering was just the medicine and painkillers, and there's nothing to it. That's just it. And so 5 minutes later, he called me and he said, "I'm ready now. I'm ready to go." And the relatives was just looking at me and just saying, "Just do it now." And I said, "Okay, I'll prepare your medicine and I'll be right back." Then I came back. I've done the checks and all that, and I talked to him. "This is your morphine. This is your midazolam." I told him, "These are your medicines, and I'm gonna give it to you. It's gonna make you comfortable. It's gonna make you at ease and free from pain." And he just said, quickly do it. I'm ready. And that's what I've done. I've given the medicines, discarded the medicines, and a couple of minutes later, after I discarded the medicines, the syringes and the sharps, it was gone. No pulse, no breathing, obviously no response at all. It was just out. It was just gone. And the family, the wife and the daughter were just tearing up and crying. He looked at peace. He was peaceful. He looked so peaceful there at that moment, and I will never forget that. That's forever embedded in my head, and I'm gonna take it until my turn. And right there, I realized that as nurses, death is really a part of your job, and as difficult as it is, you have to go through it. And I realized that losing a patient is part of the job, and I'm glad it happened early in my career because I'm gonna have to go through it again and again, and it's something you cannot avoid. It's a part of the job, and it was hard because the patient was talking to you 5 minutes ago, and when you come back to a lifeless body, and where do you draw the line from? It was just difficult. So yeah, that's my my first death experience, and it wasn't easy. If you're here and you're planning to take on this career, make sure that you have um, the right like mental capacity to deal with this. You have support system with you, and make sure that you speak out. Make sure you get debriefing every after shift when you need it, cause the mental stress of the job is gonna go into your head, and you need somewhere to express it all out before you head home. Because when you're home alone, you're gonna be thinking about it, and you're gonna have a lot of questions, and you're gonna think a lot of things, and it's not healthy. It's gonna drive you mad, and it's important. So you're here. Tell me about your first loss. Comment down below, and I'm gonna go through them because I really wanna relate and connect to you. So tell me about it. See you on the next video.